Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited to be sharing this with you, sharing a few of my favorite stories from people who have had fantastic results from our GLP-1 products and our microdosing as well. And I just wanted to kind of share a few things with you as we get started here. I will be reading it. I'm new. So I am just learning all the things. I'll probably be reading this for like another 2 years because I'm not quick unless I use enough of that NAD spray and maybe some injections when I can start to get my mental clarity going. We'll talk about that later. But I do still have to read off of this paper. So bear with me for like a minute. So let's start with the basics. What are peptides? Think of peptides like text messages that your body sends to itself. They tell your cells what to do, like, hey, repair that tissue. Hey, let's lower that inflammation, or time to burn some fat, or guess what? You're not hungry. That's my favorite text message personally. Your body already makes peptides naturally, but what happens as we age or we go through stress, illness, hormonal changes, these messages don't come in clear anymore. So that's where therapeutic peptides like GLP-1s come in. They help your body to remember how to heal, repair, and regulate on a cellular level. Now, here's where LEMD stands apart. Most supplements are like tossing confetti into the wind and hoping some of it sticks, right? Our peptides, they're like handing your body a targeted pharmaceutical level instruction manual with a licensed doctor helping you choose the exact plan for you. Tonight, you're going to hear some powerful stories, including mine, and I'm going to start with my own story. I have been on GLP-1 medications for 2 years. I've been pretty loud and proud about it all along, and I have always loved that I've had these for the last 2 years because I feel like people have been not sharing them as much as they should. And I understand people are more private than I am, but I just feel like this is something that we need to shout it from the rooftops. I lost 75 pounds using these peptides, and I feel like it's time that we empower each other, empower women, and empower ourselves. My story is that Beth Graves, my dear friend, called me 2 years ago, and she said, hey, and she told me later that I was the first person that she actually told. She said, hey, you've got to try this. This has really helped me lose some weight. And I know that you've been struggling. And I was like, what is it? Tell me. And she gave me a telehealth program so that I could call in the privacy of my own home and get these products. And so when she joined LEMD 2 years later, or like a year and a half later, it was the perfect thing for her because she had already knew that sharing this was so powerful as she watched me lose weight. I was on a different journey at the time, so it took me a little while to catch up. But I certainly, having been here for just a few weeks, feel the power of what we have in our hands. And it really, because I have such a great story, I've done so well on these medications, and I've enjoyed all of the benefits of them, including, great weight loss and just freedom. I don't have that food noise that I'm constantly battling. I don't have those thoughts that are constantly in my mind. And what it's done is it's kind of opened up space for me to create other things in my life and not worry about food. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but for those of us who really suffer from strong food noise, you understand exactly what I'm saying. So with that, I lost 75 pounds. I didn't do it quickly. It took about 5 pounds a month. If I look at the average, I did lose, a little bit more at the beginning because I had a lot more to lose, right? So at the beginning, I did lose quite a bit at a time, and then it slowed down until when I looked at the average, it was about 5 pounds a month. So that's what you could expect if you had significant weight to lose. Our next person that I'm going to introduce didn't have significant weight to lose, and she chose the microdosing route, which is really interesting. LEMD is the only one I know that even talks about this. and uses GLP-1s to help reduce inflammation in our bodies and help people who don't need to lose 75 pounds. Maybe they only have 10 or 20 to lose, and they need a little bit of help with that. Or they have no weight to lose. They just want to get rid of all that inflammation in their bodies. So, Roxanne, if you could tell us how you ended up here, what made you even think that this was a thing that you should do, and what your background is a little bit in how you got to this place.
Yeah, sure. So, I've been microdosing for about 6 weeks or so now, but the journey to get to the microdosing was probably about a year and a half long of various different trials and tribulations. So I had about a year and a half ago surgery, very minor surgery. It was, in and out, couple hours, no big deal, very minimal side effects, but had to get it done. So I get out of surgery, everything's fine. 2 days later, I'm kind of like, okay, well, something's not quite right here. So I'm calling the doctor. I'm like, what is going on? I said, I don't see this in any of the paperwork. What's going on? She's like, oh, well, you have an infection. Here's some antibiotics, blah, blah, blah. Take the antibiotics. I'm like, no, this isn't working. So ended up like after like 3 different antibiotics, going back to the doctor, they're telling me, oh, well, you're overreacting. You have some pain, you have some spasms in your hip. This is normal. And I'm like, this is not normal. I I'm a runner. Like, I run 9 to 12 miles a day. I'm weightlifting. I don't have hip problems. So after that, they said, well, you know what, we're going to give you this medication. It's going to help the spasms. Your insurance doesn't cover it. It's very expensive, but it'll work. On the off chance that it doesn't work, we're going to send you to a specialist. So of course, I take this medication, I take it for a month, does nothing. So I tried to get a hold of a specialist. The doctor that had prescribed the medication really wasn't very helpful. So I ended up kind of dropping them and trying to figure all of this stuff out on my own, through, Google, and just looking all these things up, trying to find a specialist that would deal with something like this. Because I mean, like, who deals with like hip and pelvic pain? I don't know. So I went on the journey to find a doctor. I went through several doctors. We had tried all kinds of injections, and I did 2 MRIs, and some things had come up on the MRIs, had nothing to do with my hip pain. There, ultrasounds, anything and everything that they could think of, and they kind of just at the end of the day ran out of ideas. So I kind of went the holistic way, and I found a really great chiropractor who was adjusting me twice a week. She was actually shockwaving my my hip, just to kind of see if maybe that would help. I mean, we were just at the end of the day, we were just grasping for straws. We were trying to find something, anything that would work. In the meantime, she had an acupuncturist come in. I was going to see her twice a week. I had gone to a pelvic floor specialist, physical therapist. I was seeing her twice a week. I went to go see a regular physical therapist that just did uh, hip pain. I went to go see her. I mean, like, everything, stretching. And, meantime, I can't run 9, 12 miles a day. I'm like running, but I was at, I don't know, an 8 minute mile average. And, I'm like a 10, 30, 11, which is slow for me. And it's, when you're running that much and you're working out that much, it's just really disheartening. And at the time, when I was running so much and working out, I mean, I could eat whatever I wanted, and I just never gave it a thought, like, I'm eating cheeseburgers and fries, and, like, I'm still skinny because I'm just burning so many calories a day. So when this all happened, my exercise just kind of went way down. I was still doing some things, but just to put it in perspective, like, I was lunging with 30-pound weights, free weights, 30 pounds. And I was down to like, 15s. And I'm like, okay, well, I can do a few, but if I start, it hurts. I have to stop and I'm stretching. And it was just like a whole lifestyle change. I was riding horses and, that was a little tough too. So, it just got to the point where it was like, it starts to kind of get in your head and your whole body. I feel like, I've never felt like that before, where my whole body just literally, when this happened, just like stopped working. Like my hair started falling out because I was so stressed. And it was just exhausting. It really was hard because I didn't have anybody that had ever gone through anything like this. So I was really going on this journey for a year and a half all by myself. So I'm like, trying to figure out like, okay, well, how do I eat now? And like, how do I exercise? And like, what do I do here? And then, my body was just like fighting so hard against me and I was bloating. I would eat like anything. I could eat anything like a hard boiled egg or a banana or some yogurt. And I looked like I gained like 5 pounds from just eating something. And I'm like, why is this happening? So, again, doctors, blah, blah, blah. And I was just over it. I was over the doctor thing. I was over the medical thing. I feel like all I was doing, me personally, was just like yelling at these doctors to help me, which, I've talked to some other people and it was very similar. Like, oh, yeah, I asked the doctor to run this test and they wouldn't do it until I started screaming like a crazy lady. And they finally did it and there was something wrong. So I kind of joke and I'm like, I had heard Beth mention this because, we have gone to some events together. We've been down in Florida together. I was on a business trip. We take her to the US Open and she started mentioning these things. And I was kind of like, I've always been into like health and stuff, but I had no idea about peptides, like nothing. I'm like, I don't know what she's talking about. Like, she's talking about like the BPC 157 and I'm like, she's throwing letters and numbers at me. I don't know what that means. So the more I was like, just I had no other option. I laughed because like I really was desperate. And so finally I'm like, okay, well, I'm going down to Wellington and I'm going to pin Beth down. And like there was another woman with me and we were like super interested because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like this is, I am not that I have ever been heavy and I was not heavy, but that was very heavy for me. Um, I was like, I am like, I don't know, 12 pounds over what I normally am. And it was like all in my stomach. And I'm like, this is driving me crazy. So I talked to Beth, finally signed up, did the whole thing. Wasn't really sure what to expect as far as results. But I just kind of wanted
Oy,
to get
where?
the weight off. So I started and I took a before picture, which I don't normally like to do because, it's just you kind of get in your head, especially if you don't see results. But I took the before picture. And 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, after my second shot, I took an after picture and I'm like, holy mackerel. I'm like, this is what I normally look like. It pulled out all the inflammation from my stomach. I started just even with my hip pain, that started to kind of go away. I really, really was able to dial in with my food. It's really just amazing how much like now I'm just like focus on protein. Like just eat as much as you can, but like eat the protein. So even right now, I have lost a little bit of muscle, so I am trying to get that back and try to like organize that a little bit, but my hip pain has been significantly reduced. The inflammation, like in my whole body, like my face, my stomach. I'd gone to the doctor and she's like, the last time I saw you, you looked kind of swollen. Like, what are you doing? And, I was explaining it to her. So, um, yeah, I just kind of, after a year and a half, got sick of feeling like crap and looking like crap. And I started this journey, and it's just been so positive mentally and physically for me. It's just been really great.
That's wonderful. I just keep thinking like your story is so good because you have that story that so many women have, and they think that
Yes.
they have to just like suffer, and
Yes.
they're like, well, I don't really have any weight to lose. Well, you really don't, but you don't feel right. So for
Yes.
you, other people would look at you and go, oh my gosh, like you think you need to lose weight. But I get it. Like if you're not feeling comfortable in your body, it doesn't matter if you have 75 pounds to lose like I had, or 5 pounds. You've got to feel good, and I think that people don't take you seriously. And this medication is just that perfect thing for anyone who's feeling off. And I love how much it's helping your inflammation in your hips as well. I've definitely found a lot less body inflammation in the last 2 years than I ever had. I just don't have the kind of pain I used to walk around with. And of course, I thought, well, you lost a whole person. Of course, you feel better. However, I think that the medication really took a lot out of it. So thank you so much for sharing your story, Roxanne. We really appreciate it. And I
Yeah.
wish you the best with continuing on this microdosing. I think it's a game changer. And I love that you have this different perspective to share. So thank you. So our next story is my friend Debbie. She is a fellow horse gal, saw me post on Facebook probably about this. I don't know if she's seen it before, but in the last couple of weeks when I joined, she said, hey, I want in on this. I think we can help a lot of people. I have a good weight loss story, and I would love to share it with you too. So Debbie, I'm going to just let you go ahead and share your experience with GLP-1s and why you joined LEMD.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here. This has been almost like a 9-year journey with me with my weight gain. I had a lot of stuff happening in my life 9 years ago. I lost my barn that I had for 25 years and had to change careers to a less, active type job for a couple years, and the weight started slowly coming on, and then I needed a hysterectomy. I did just turn 55, so perimenopause is also in there to play with. So I had a lot of issues, and the weight just started gaining because I went from like riding a lot of horses to not riding at all. And then even though I am back in the barn, I'm still more administrative and not as physical labor. And so I tried working out, I tried gyms, I tried personal trainers, I tried every diet product that you can buy. I've tried everything. I mean, there's not one thing that I didn't try. And did I succeed at any of them? No, I didn't. And wasn't because of my lack of effort, but it just wasn't working. I could lose maybe 5 or 10 pounds on my own, but then it would just come back, and like I really was getting to my breaking point, just was not happy in my skin. And then what really triggered me was my son's graduation last year from high school. And well, I guess it was before the graduation. It was his senior night at football. And I was happy to get a nice family picture of my husband, my son, and I, walking on the field. And I was proud of him. And I couldn't wait to have a picture of us. I got the pictures back and I never posted them on Facebook. I was mortified. I hated how I looked. I wasn't happy. Even though it was a happy moment for me, it sort of ruined it. So I knew I had to do something. You kept on hearing about Ozempic, and went to my doctors. My weight was like my BMI was right on the verge. So they said, let's try it, but everything else was okay. They wrote me a script. I didn't get it from my insurance, so they wouldn't pay for it. So there was no way I was going to pay that out of pocket. So then I had a friend hook me up with a med spa, went online. I did it, got the products, but there was no support. I had to do everything, research on my own, figure about what I should eat, how I should act, how to get through side effects and all that. And it was a struggle bus, but I did it. So I went ahead, started the shots, and then I lost 30 pounds in about 4 months. So I was excited. I was feeling good, and then my son graduated with pictures, and I was like, yes, I'm in a much better place. So, but then my original prescriptions were, my shots were all done. And then I'm like, where do I go now? I wasn't happy with the first place. I looked at many online companies and they had like member fees and all these extra fees, and you just didn't know what you would end up paying. So I tried to maintain for a long time. I was stayed off of it until like recently. I've just started back up I'm on week 2. But that was before I found Ellie. So I have to get rid of my current medication to come back to Ellie. But once I saw Ellie and saw Rhonda involved in it, looked into it more, and I'm like, this is definitely something for me, because in the past year on my weight loss gain, I've helped like 5 friends already, through their whole process and journey. And I feel like, I've already been a mentor to them from everything that I did. And then knowing that I could help through Ellie, I was super excited to come on and join. And now it's like I gained 5 pounds from the initial weight loss that I had from the first time around. But I still want to lose another 20. I still have goals. I want to get better, and continue on with the journey and see what happens. So I was super excited to see, Rhonda involved here. And I knew I had to jump on. So I did, went ahead and signed up, and happy to be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you shared that, and thank you so much for trusting me, of course. But
Yes.
I love your story because there's so many people who have that experience where they go to other compounding pharmacies, and Beth will talk a little bit more about why ours is different in a minute. But and they're not satisfied. They have all these extra fees to pay. The
Right.
medication isn't as powerful. It's not they're not going through these fantastic pharmacies that we have
Right.
that have these high ratings. So it's just great that you are, that you stuck with it and you just kept searching until you found something. And I think that, I helped a lot of people with the medications as well before I joined Ellie, and Beth
Yeah.
did too. And we're like, what are we doing? We should be doing this as a business. So I'm so grateful that she found it.
Right.
But I'm going to turn it over to Beth because she's going to close it out for us. And thank you guys so much for sharing your stories. And here is my fabulous friend, Beth Graves.
Well, thank you for you guys. I love hearing the trickle effect of sharing, right? Because you just have no idea what is going on inside. Like when seeing Roxanne, I would have never known that she was struggling. Rhonda, we told each other everything. So we were talking about, gosh, what is going on in menopause? And Debra, I can really relate to your story. I had the same experience. It's actually a photo that I'll share right here. Right, can you guys see my screen? You can? Okay. So I was my son had just won a gold medal in the world championships, and I saw this photo, same as you. I was like, this should be such a happy moment. And we know like our bodies are the least interesting thing about us in that moment, but we're fixated on this is like, I don't feel good. I don't look good. And, I was thinking I think I was hiding half my body behind my husband in that photo, but that was like the moment that I said, I'm stuck. So my story is so similar to everyone that shared, is that, I had done everything and had always been able to out diet the 10 pounds up, 10 pounds down. And I didn't realize until now that my relationship with food and dieting and my body was really broken, even from the time I was 15 years old. And some of us in the horse industry, it's, it's constantly the smaller bodies on the horses. And I watched that with my own daughter. I didn't ride as a junior, but I remember her, and this just like hit me so hard. She was a curvier pony rider, but tiny. And she was riding ponies for someone, and she'd had the stomach flu. And he made a comment to, make sure you stay this size or I'll need to find another kid to ride my small ponies. And she was 8 years old, 8 years old. And in that moment, I thought, gosh, we need to heal this story, this whole conversation, and celebrate the bodies that we have, and be able to talk about why girls starting at that age start on this disordered eating of not eating enough, binge eating in private, having shame when they need help. And it took me 55 years to heal that relationship. And it started with the GLP-1 GIP, which I started on tirzepatide. And it was my last resort for weight loss. I didn't know much about it. I didn't know about how it was going to regulate my blood sugar, how it was going to help with my inflammation, and most importantly, how it was going to help with my brain health around the stories and the narratives that had been my whole life. And so the biggest thing, as you've heard, is accessibility and the conversations around this. Who's brave enough to stand up and say, yeah, I did use the weight loss injection, because there used to be way more bad press on it. And now we're finding that these medications, they help people that have had Lyme's disease, they help people that are dealing with all kinds of problems with inflammation in their bodies, with brain health, with cardiac health. And today I was listening to a doctor talk who has these in his clinic, and he said he is super fit. He said, there will never be a day that I do not use some sort of GLP-1 in my body, because what I know it's doing with the regenerative part, with helping to not get disease. So it started as a treatment for diabetes, accidentally found that we could use it for the treatment of obesity. And then we're stumbling upon, because the world has opened to 70% of America will be on some sort of peptide therapy by 2030, which is really, really, really exciting, because we're not dealing with sick health. And that's the philosophy of LEMD, is we're looking at how do we help our communities learn more, gain more information, and have accessibility around these peptides. And specifically, we started with weight loss. That's the first lever. And now as we grow, expanding to, as Rhonda was saying, cellular regeneration, helping with inflammation. So you're not using NSAIDs and you're using peptide regenerative therapy. And we're starting to really study these in forms of prevention of disease and prevention of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, cardiac conditions, high blood pressure. It's super, super exciting. And I didn't know any of this. I literally just wanted to make some money sharing an affiliate link so I could pay for my own medication. And it's pretty much become, well, it's a huge wave. So how do you get started with LEMD? We're a telemedicine company. So LEMD partners with board certified doctors and NAAPB certified pharmacies 503A. So compounded medications are created specifically for the patient. So you may have heard of Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, Mounjaro. So the active ingredient, the active medication, is something called semaglutide and tirzepatide. So when there were shortages of these medications, or when they were so and still so costly, the compounding pharmacy said, let us compound these medications so that we can help our patients to, like Roxanne, have a much smaller dose, put some B12 in for energy, and also allow patients to specifically get the dose that they need for their situation. So someone like me, I might be at 7.5 milligrams, where someone like Roxanne, her body only needs the 2.5. And so the compounding pharmacies are all about, let's specifically compound a medication so that we can meet the needs of the patients and also have that accessibility. So LEMD provides that platform and partners with these pharmacies. And what happens, you go to the website, you complete a health questionnaire, a provider reviews your health history, and then determines if you're a candidate for the medication or that peptide therapy. They review it and it ships right to your doorstep. This is again, so what I want to go over with you is that you will go to the link, the Ellie brand partner link. You'll click weight loss if you're looking at weight loss, or longevity if you're thinking of the microdose. And we have it on the website. GLP-1 plus B12 is semaglutide. GLP-1 / GIP plus B12 is tirzepatide. And that's because we can't call it by the name because Big Pharma does not want us to, but that is what is compounded for you with the pharmacy. We have all different kinds of products besides just the weight loss, dealing with the longevity. Sexual health products, there are peptides to help with brain function, cellular regeneration, how to gain, like Roxanne was saying, she's looking at the muscle side of it. One of the suggestions would be for her to start with her GLP-1 microdosing on something called Simorlin. And the cool thing about our website, it's like going to a blog. It has blog posts, it has education, it has the science-backed research on the website. So let's take a look at there's the research side. If you can screenshot this or go directly to the website, what is the weight loss versus microdosing option? Your BMI has to be less than, if your BMI is less than 29, that means that you would go the microdosing route. Small little doses of the GLP-1 medications that help you with those stubborn 20 pounds or that stubborn inflammation, or you may be just looking at it for longevity. So the neuroprotective and health benefits, gentle appetite regulation will happen with that microdosing side. With the weight loss, we titrate up because we had both Rhonda and me, we had over 50 pounds to lose. So those smaller doses, they weren't putting a dent in it for me, but we want to dose it up so that you're not experiencing the side effects. So I'll review how you're going to place that order. You'll click longevity for microdose, follow the prompts. You'll click weight loss if you're here for the weight loss medication. And if you have questions on how the pharmacy fulfills it, it's right there. The research, the testimonials. And the other thing that you have is a support line. So after you place your order and it comes, like, you can say, hey, I'm having a little bit of nausea. It can happen. They're going to call in Zofran for you, or I'd like to speak to one of the providers. That happens as well. What we aren't is your primary care physician. We are a telemedicine company that provides these peptides. So they're looking specifically at that. So I had someone call and say, yeah, I was talking to him today about a skin condition I have. And I was like, oh, okay. And the doctor talked and said, I don't think this is really what we're talking about with peptides, but it is a support line because so many people are going to a med spa and they don't have medical supervision. We also have a Facebook group where we have a lot of health practitioners, dietitians, pharmacists that are partnered with LEMD, plus regular people like most of us on here tonight that just share our experience. And one of the big things with these medications is getting in your protein. So we have recipes. We're having a book club about strength training and longevity next month. So what we've done with our group at LEMD is really work to build community around our one mission, which is let's live longer and healthier lives. And let's do it by connecting and supporting one another by providing our communities with accessibility, with education, and to feel empowered for their own healthcare choices. So thank you for having me on tonight. And the stories, again, are always inspiring, and we're again, the reason why we all keep sharing, because I always say somebody is going to go to bed tonight praying for the solution that we have to offer. And many times they're hiding behind a body that looks very fit, or they're hiding behind their son in a photo like Debra and I were doing. And so be the light for that person, be the educator. And whether you're here as a customer just to refer, or you're here thinking about the business, we're here for it. So thanks, guys, for having me on.
Oh gosh, thank you so much for that, Beth. It was so educational. I love to listen to all the things because you know, there's so much more to our stories than, you know, just feeling overweight all the time. And we have so many great things to share when we've got a platform like this to really help people, because this is the answer that they're waiting for. This is the answer that they're praying for. And we've got it. And I think that that is such a wonderful thing to be able to bring into our communities to help people, not just with their weight, but with their overall wellness and longevity. And we had skincare launching this month too. So that we didn't mention, and that's super exciting, prescription skincare. So very excited about that. And I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. And if there's anything else, if anybody has some questions, we'll stay on for a minute afterwards, but I think we can stop the recording. So thank you so much and have a great night.